fall of 2025. My name is Russell Calvin. I am joined today by my colleague, Megan Aziz. So just a couple of housekeeping rules for you guys real quick. And just way everybody knows how today's kind of work out because this is very new for everybody. It's new for us, but also I know very new for you guys. Today's session is going to be titled How to Navigate Calcareers. And what our purpose is it's going to be more of a working session for you guys. Um, the chat is going to be live. So while you guys are muted, the chat is open. You guys can drop any questions that you guys might have inside the chat as we're going through this webinar. Megan's computer is up and running, so she'll be able to either respond back to your questions in the chat box or she'll ask me and we'll go through those questions live here on camera for you guys as well. We want this to be very casual. This is a new look for us, and we figured it'll really benefit the majority of our people that are attending these events and help you guys out for the application process. With that being said, introductions are in order. So once again, my name is Russell Calvin. I have been with Caltrans now for almost 4 years. We're coming up on 4 years. I went to school at CSU Stanislaus, and I graduated with my degree in business administration.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Aziz. I'm a recruitment analyst here with Caltrans, and I have been with the department for about 2.5 years now. Absolutely loving it. I went to California State University, Sacramento, graduated in 2020 with a degree in anthropology, and yeah, thanks for being here today.
All right, so just a little bit of background information on Caltrans in itself. Caltrans manages more than 50,000 miles of California's highways and freeway lanes, provides intercity rail services, permits more than 400 public use airports and special use hospital heliports, and works with local agencies. Caltrans carries out its mission with 6 primary programs: aeronautics, highway transportation, mass transportation, transportation planning, administration, and the equipment services center. We're split up into 12 different districts, so opportunities are statewide for us. And our department starts up at the Oregon border and stretches all the way down to where Mexico begins. So there are very, very, very broad opportunities for you to work in a lot of different climates if you do decide to work within the state of California. A few of our biggest districts are District 4, which is our Bay Area, and District 7, which is LA. And those 2 districts have about 2,500 workers there, but Caltrans headquarters, where Megan and I are located, has about 5,000. So with that being said, I will go ahead and share my screen with you guys. So that way we can kind of go over this working session. It's gonna take about 30 to 35 minutes through the whole entire working session, and we will open it up fully for any questions that you guys might have. So that way we can help you guys out throughout the whole entire process. And Megan also will be dropping some links in the chat box for you as well. So a part of joining Caltrans or joining the state in general, you're going to want to start off at calcareers.ca.gov, this page right over here. This is one of 2 ways to officially apply. The other way would be to mail your application into us, but for the most part, it all starts off here on calcareers.ca.gov. On this page, we have what's called the 3-step process, which would be creating your account on this page, which would start up right here in this upper right-hand corner where it says create account /login. You would then take an exam, which is the exam assessment search button right over here, and then you would apply for any jobs that you're interested in. What we're going to start off with, we'll walk you through that process later because we have another webinar next week on the application process, but we just want to get everybody familiar with how to navigate through here and also what links to kind of look at when searching job ads and certain things like that. So on this main page, as you can see, it has a bunch of information for the how to apply to the state. For us, I'll do an advanced search real quick, and this is going to be where you will search for jobs. I'll type in Department of Transportation in the section right here for the advanced search. So you can search for keywords if you're looking for Department of Transportation or a certain title. Megan and I are Associate Personnel Analysts, or AGPAs, Associate Governmental Program Analysts. You can search for the classification right here in the keyword and it'll pop it up. You can search for the department. For us, Caltrans in specific is known as Department of Transportation. If you met a recruiter and they gave you the specific job code or anything like that, you can put that all in here. And you can also narrow it down to location. So if you're looking for a certain county to be working in, you can search throughout these counties as well. So for this purpose, I'll just keep it here and we'll go to the Department of Transportation. And I'll click search jobs. Everything going pretty good so far in the chat box, Megan?
We do have questions about exams, but we'll get to that in a little while.
Cool. So once you select the department, for example, Department of Transportation, or for us, it'll take you to this page where you'll see right on over here, these are the filters that we selected, which is Department of Transportation. You can see that right now, currently, we have 181 jobs that are currently being advertised. And we will just take a look at a generalized one, like Associate Governmental Program Analyst. What you'll see is this is the classification for the job. You'll see the working title, the job code number, which if you're interested in a job, you'll want to write that down because each job, even though it has the same classification, it's different. The duty statements are a little bit different. So you'll want to make sure that you take note of that job code number. It'll give you your monthly salary range, the work type and schedule, and then things like the location, the type of work environment it is, if it's in office or if it's hybrid. And then it'll also give you a big one, the final filing date, right on over here. The key thing to note about the final filing date is, for example, this one has a final filing date of 10/3/2025. You will have up until 11:59 and basically 59 seconds to submit the job, Pacific Standard Time. So 11:59, 59 seconds Pacific Standard Time to submit the job on this day. The second it hits midnight and turns over to 10/4/2025 Pacific Standard Time, that's when the job will close. So just a little bit of clarity for everybody there. You can, when you do create your account, you can also save the jobs to your file. So that way you guys can look back and reference them later on. And you'll be able to click right here to the little star to save it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this job and just use it as an example real quick. So that way everybody can kind of see. Anything, Megan, that you have to touch base on the front page?
Not right now.
Okay,
I'll bring it back to you later.
All right. So you're going to open it up, and this is a couple of big things on navigating Calcareers and kind of seeing it. This is how the job ad's going to look like. When Megan and I see everybody out in public and we talk about the job ad, this is what we're talking about. This is the main page. At the top, same thing. You're going to have the Apply Now button right over here. You can print it out. If you needed to, you can save the job as well into your Calcareers account. But a lot of the main information, job code number, JC number is right at the top, the working title, and then the classification. Your monthly pay range will be up there as well, and the final filing date. In this job description and duties area is something you're going to want to pay attention to because it's going to kind of tell you a little bit about what to expect from the job. It's letting you know, for example, this specific job ad is within Caltrans, but with the Division of Legislative Affairs. And it'll give you a brief description of everything that you really need to know right on over here. It also lets you know that they are considering a staff services analyst classification. So to qualify, if you're qualified for that, you can also apply to this position as well. When you scroll a little bit further down, there's a section over here that says duty statement. If you click on that hyperlink right there will break it down completely on there for percentages of what they're looking for, what they're anticipating, what they're expecting for you. So you'd be able to pull it up and kind of really know the ins and outs of what to expect for this position. When we said write down that job code, as you can see, it's listed right here again. Um, each job code, as we said, has a different duty statement. So that's why you're going to want to be able to match them up. And that helps you out when applying. And as we said, Megan and I will go more in depth next week on how to apply and the importance of the job code and double checking the duty statements. You'll see a couple more things down into the next section, which is the working conditions. It'll give you your position location. So, for example, this specific position will be located at 1120 North or 1120 N Street, Sacramento. So that way you know what office it's located in, and you can verify that this is a location that you're going to want to kind of look at.
Do all job postings have the location where they'll be working?
Typically, they do. Typically, they do. Sometimes it's just the county.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, they'll have the job location in specific, and it's not always at a headquarters location for the district. So sometimes, for example, if it's District 3, Marysville, it could also be at another office if they're applying to an equipment operator position or something like that. But the location typically should be posted up there. And if it's not, please message us and we'll get that for you guys as well. When you come down here, here's a big one for you guys as well. Minimum requirements. And we'll go back into this section shortly. But minimum requirements, this is where you'll find out how you apply for a job or if not apply, but qualify for a position. So this will clarify if a lot of people are kind of second guessing. I don't know if I meet the minimum requirements. This will fully break it down for you. And I'll go into that shortly after. When you scroll down in here, you'll find once again position details, and then you'll find some information about the department, our mission, our vision. And then the next area that you'll want to look at is going to be right here in the special requirements. But I'll do a pulse check with you guys real quick. Megan, do we have anything that somebody wants to know or anything like that before?
Not specifically about the job posting itself and the details within it, but we've got lots of questions about exams and contact letters and even if we started as HEPAs. So I was thinking we get through this whole job posting and then we'll break it down piece by piece.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that. So continuing on then with everything, the special requirements section that we have right on over here, this is an important one. So this is going to be where you guys will figure out any extra documents that you guys might need besides your application. Typically, it'll be listed here in this section with the special requirements. It might say a certain position needs a license, a professional license, or it might say the position or your application package needs a statement of qualifications, which this one does, as you can see right on over here. And it'll break down for you the format that they want it in. So if they needed to, please include 1 to 2 pages, 12-point font, and they'll break it fully down for you with the questions that they're anticipating for you to answer. Now, it's important to look into this section and look into this area because, as you can tell, for this application, it clearly states failure to include and complete SOQs may result in a disqualification for an interview. So this section right here is really, really important to look at because this is going to give you those extras that you guys are going to want to include, possibly, or not necessarily possibly, but you're going to need to include inside of your application package. I remember when I was doing this, and just so you guys know, it's not a cookie cutter answer. Each job application is going to have potentially a different set of statement of qualifications. I remember I applied to a lot of jobs for the state. One, I was doing this section wrong because my first 10, I don't think I included an SOQ. Did you?
No.
Yeah. And I didn't get any calls back.
No.
And then like the next 5 that I did, I got lazy if I'm being honest, and I just kind of cookie cuttered the answers, which
Yes.
means I didn't answer them properly or was in a different format. And then I actually took the time to do it, and that's when I started really getting the phone calls back.
Yeah.
And started advancing a little bit further in to the interview process with that.
So John asked, how much weight does the SOQ play into being considered for an interview? And how much would you say?
I would say 100% because if you don't include, if they are asking for it and it's not included in there, it's basically an incomplete application package.
And a lot of the job postings will say, like, if you do not upload your SOQ, you will be ineligible.
Yeah, similar to that. This one says the failure to include and
Yes,
complete
the
the
failure.
SOQ will disqualify you from an interview. So it is really important, but there are some jobs that don't include an SOQ. So you can find some job postings and job ads where an SOQ isn't necessarily a part of the special requirements, and you can apply for that. For the most part, there's going to be an SOQ on there, but just as a heads up.
So also about the SOQ before we go over, how important is the editing instructions on there? The 12-point font, 1-inch margins.
That I don't know, honestly. I mean, I would stick with whatever they're asking.
What I've heard is it is very important to follow all of those because it's the first test. It's saying 12-inch font at a maybe a certain or 12-inch at a certain font, and if you don't follow that, you're showing the hiring team that you're not actually reading the instructions.
And what I will say is, in my very first interview that I had with Caltrans, I didn't get that job, but in the directions for the special requirements with the statement of qualifications up there,
Mm.
they gave the breakdown. One of the questions later on asked had like very specific directions where it was like, go to this website, X, Y, and Z. When I went into the interview, they rechecked and had me re-say what was on the statement or on the special requirements section just to see if I was paying attention to the special requirements.
Yeah.
So it can or can't be, but I would definitely try to stick with what they're asking for with the pages and the font and certain things like that for the layouts. So next section right on over there is going to be the application instructions. So they're going to tell you to complete it and fill it out. Now, if you guys do decide to not submit this electronically and instead go with a paper copy, a key thing on there is when you go to the mailbox or the post office and have it mailed out, it has to be postmark dated from them for the final filing date. So, like we said, this final filing date is 10/3/2025. There needs to be a stamp on there from the post office saying 10/3/2025. If the stamp says 10/4, unfortunately, the application is late and it just won't be accepted. It goes further down in to ask saying who may apply, and then also how to apply and the mailing address where send it off to. You can also drop it off to us at certain locations. So the address drop off is going to be right on over here, listed a little bit further down. And it does give you the address to drop it off at, which for this one is going to be our office, 1727 30th Street. And then the days that we're open and the time frames. As we go a little bit further down even more, required application package documents. This is going to tell us right on over here. And building off of what we were saying, one thing that they said had bolded out, and as we see, says required application package. It does say statement of qualifications or SQs is required for this application package. So it does seem like for this position, they are making it a point to let everybody know that the SOQ needs to be a part of it. And then once they go down there, they'll have some desirable qualifications. Not every job ad always has them, but this one does. So they're asking for certain organization skills. But a lot of this information typically is found in the duty statement that they're looking for. You'll be able to click into the benefits. And then the last big one that I have for you guys to look at on this page is going to be right here in this area. This is the contact information. One of the biggest questions I mean, I know I handle a lot of things on my Handshake platform. Megan handles a lot on the LinkedIn platform. One of the biggest questions that I always get is follow up. Somebody's submitted an application and they're like, hey, can I get a status check on my application? When you do apply, you're going to want to also take down this hiring unit contact name. And that's going to be the person that you're going to reach out to for this application or whatever application that you apply to. That's going to be the direct line for the person that's overseeing. So there will be a name, a phone number, and an email, and you can reach out to them. If you don't want to just reach out to us, I know I get that question a lot. Do you on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Get a lot. So you guys can still reach out to us, but we typically directly don't have a lot of the information since we oversee things for the entire state, but these will go directly to that unit that you're applying to. And there is typically a different one for every single job ad that you're applying to since they're from different departments. But as you can see, this one, for example, is handled by this person right here. That's their phone number and that is their email. And you'll be able to reach out to them and they'll be able to kind of give you a status update.
Yeah, and if you are going to reach out to them, make sure to include that very important JC or job code number. That way they can dwindle it down to exactly which job it is.
Cool.
Mhm. I know we glanced over it, but how important this main job posting page is, but those minimum requirements and to know if we, qualify for this position, if we want to apply for it. Can we go ahead and look at that?
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So I'm going right back up to the top. And we're going to go right back to the minimum requirements section, about midway down through the page. As we said, for this position, the classification is the Associate Governmental Program Analyst. So I'll write on over here in the classification section. So if we look at the minimum requirements, this specific one has 2. The only reason why it has 2 is because if you guys remember from earlier, this position states that it will consider a staff services analyst. So there are different ways, but we're just going to look at it as a general of do you meet the minimum requirements? So I'm going to click on the Associate Governmental Program Analyst hyperlink, and it's going to forward you over to another page that we have with CalHR. As you can see right at the top, this is Associate Governmental Program Analyst. It gives you the definition of the job to let you know exactly what the job is. It gives you the typical tasks, and then it starts going into the minimum qualifications. This is where you're going to want to be paying attention to seeing if you qualify or meet the minimum qualifications. So you'll see right over here, it gives kind of like toward a brief explanation of certain things for it. Then you'll see education. This position, what it requires for education or equivalent to graduation from college. Additional qualifying experience may be substituted for the required education on a year-for-year basis. And then it says for this one, and it's requiring either 1, experience of 1 year as a staff service analyst, or experience of 3 years of professional analytical experience performing duties in as stated over here. So for this specific position, you'll need the education to either be graduated from college or have enough experience to substitute for the required education. And they're asking for experience. Some positions, I can pull one up later on, for example, a transportation engineer civil position for us. That position in itself is only required for to have a degree. So you can just have the civil engineering degree on there and you don't necessarily have to have job experience. But this position in itself is requiring to be having either a degree or the experience substitute for it, and then
Education.
and experience. So it's asking for both. That's how you'll kind of know if you apply to it. And if you have questions, honestly, just reach out to us and ask us. Megan and I are more than happy to kind of look over some applications. I know I was looking over a few with some potential candidates the other day, and just kind of going over it with them and just analyzing their applications to let them know if they're meeting minimum qualifications or not for it. And then, for example, this one they're saying they may consider staff services analyst. So we'll just look at that one as well. As you can see, it says staff service analyst. Minimum qualifications for this one's a little bit different. Scroll down right under here. It says candidates who are 6 months into satisfying experience requirements admitted to application must fully meet equivalent to completion of the 12th grade and 4 years of experience performing X, Y, and Z. So 12th grade for this staff services analyst position and some experience as well. Academic education from accredited college, university may be substituted for the required experience. So you can have a little bit of college education or upper class education to substitute. Cool. Any questions, Megan, that we're looking at?
Not specifically to this. If anybody has any questions about the minimum qualifications, go ahead and shoot them right now so we can cover that. If not, we'll move on.
And then the last kind of thing that I have to touch up real quick on here before we start getting ready to kind of open it up to the floor and just kind of ask any questions that you guys might really have is the duty statement. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to hope it pops up for me, which I'll have to share. Let me make some adjustments real quick. Second.
We have some minimum qualifications questions coming in.
What do we got?
So, Luna, great question. Just clarifying, if you meet the minimum qualifications at another job, is it okay? Or does it need to all be with Caltrans?
So let me go back over to it real quick. So minimum qualifications on a job, the beauty of it is, I guess I should explain the classifications and certain things a little bit better. So under classification section right here, this title or of associate governmental program analyst runs throughout basically all state agencies. So Department of Transportation or Caltrans has associate governmental program analysts. State hospitals will have AGPAs as well. Cal HR.
I think almost
CHP,
every state agency.
almost every state agency has this title in specific. Not every agency has the same titles. Like, for example, we don't have nurses for Caltrans. We don't have nurses, but state hospitals has nursing. If you meet the minimum qualifications for an AGPA, you meet the minimum for that classification in specific. You'll meet it for every single one of the state departments. So you would be able to apply to any state department out there that has the classification of associate governmental program analyst. Now, that's still not to say you can cookie cutter your application and your answers for everything, because as we said, each one of those jobs will have a different job code number. So even though you're applying for this job with us with job code 492475, if you're off by one number, let's say 492476, that could be for a different agency. And they could be asking for a different set of statement of qualifications. They could be asking for a different format for your statement of qualifications. And you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to those things. But yes, to answer your question about if you meet the minimum qualifications for it with Caltrans, you'll meet the minimum qualifications for that classification for the rest of the state agencies that are offering that job.
The minimum qualifications for the classifications are from Cal HR. So those aren't under the Department of Transportation. That is all from one department that is giving resources to the whole state.
Yes, and that's also why, like you said, Megan, building off that by Cal HR, when you do click on the minimum requirements, it actually takes you to the Cal HR, so California Department of Human Resources page, because they're the ones that handle and oversee to make sure that everybody else, every other department within the state is in line and guiding by the same exact qualifications and requirements. So it's the same standard set throughout all state agencies.
And then building off our minimum qualifications, the state will require that you take a online examination. It's one of our steps. And a part of that process is qualifying for the classification itself. So if we wanted to move into exams
Yep.
to show, there's two pathways to find exams. One of my favorites is if Russell were to scroll up and click apply, it's going to ask you a set of questions. A lot of people see this and they automatically think, I have eligibility. I looked at those minimum qualifications. But you do not have eligibility with the state unless you have taken that classifications exam and passed it.
Mhm.
So if Russell said, yep, you toggled over exactly. I have eligibility. I can't read that far.
So it says, I have eligibility. If you have taken and passed an exam/assessment in the past 6 months, you should have received a letter informing you of your eligibility. Your eligibility should also be listed in your Calcareers account under eligibility tab.
Got it.
And then same thing like Megan said. Go ahead, Meg. With that.
Oh, and then if you haven't taken the exam, you will not have eligibility. That's what you would want to select.
Mm-hmm. And it says, I want to obtain eligibility. If you have not taken and passed an exam/assessment in the past 6 months for this specific classification, you can start the process by finding exams for the job classification.
So if you were to select that, I want to obtain eligibility, it provides you the set of exams.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of it, the exams, we also want to reinforce that the exams aren't necessarily tests to be sitting there and being like super stressed out about. They're a little more generalized questions just to ensure that you're meeting the minimum qualifications and you're actually qualified for this position. So don't think of the exams as like an exam that we used to take in high school and college where, these midterms exams and these finals, but they're more eligibility exams. They just want to ensure that, hey, I meet the minimum qualifications, I am eligible to apply. And you'll have to maintain eligibility in order to apply. But as Megan said, you'll click there and it'll take you right over here and you'll select which one you wanted to apply to. Did you want to do the standard one right up at the top, or did you need the one for LEAP as well? And you'll be able to pick out which one you want and kind of apply from there.
I provided resources for the CalHR Elite program if that is something that you would like to look into. Somebody's asking very quickly, are the exams in person or online?
It depends. 90% are online. There are some where it might be in person. Depending on if you need it proctored, and if you need something like a special accommodation, you can reach out to askexams@dot.ca.gov.
And do these exams cost you anything?
No, the exams are free. It's more of an in-house thing. We're not charging you anything to. It's just to make sure that you do qualify for the position. So they're not costing you anything to take these exams. You can just go in and you can take them at any time of the day as well. So if you, let's say, work all day and you only have really late nights, or you have that late night shift, and then you get off work really late and you take an exam, you can take them at any point of the day as well, and you'll just follow that path that Megan was showing you, or the next path that I'll show you after when we answer a couple more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this exams are going to run into our how to apply for a state job session that will be following up next week. But just very briefly about wrapping up the exams itself. How many times can you take the exam?
You're going to take the exam once. So as when I floated right across this at the top, it's basically going to ask if you have taken the exam in the past 6 months. So that's going to be the kicker. So you do definitely want to take your time with this exam to ensure that you are answering the questions properly. Because there may be some moments in there where the verbiage might trip anybody up or certain things like that. And once again, if you guys have uh, questions about the exams and like any clarity that you guys might need for the exams when you're kind of taking a look at it, reach out to askexams@dot.ca.gov. That's the team that we have set up specifically for this step in this process, and they're going to be looking at uh, clarifying anything up that you guys might have as well. Any questions you guys might have, but you're going to be able to take it once during that time frame, and that's why we want to make sure that you guys are either one, giving yourself enough credit to score as high on that exam as possible, or two, we're just going to make sure we clarify things on there so that way you guys can save as much time as possible as well.
Mhm. And then going back to a very broad Calcareers question, what
Yeah.
is a contact letter? And do they help you actually get an interview or receive a job?
Not necessarily. Contact letters don't necessarily help you get the jobs or anything like that. It's just more, it'll put you on the list so that way you can be notified, or you're notified about like what is going on, and with possible job opportunities and certain things like that, because you still have to apply. At the end of the day, we just still need to make sure that your application is in there. So if you are seeing a job, you just still need to definitely do apply. I think what really will benefit somebody with their application package, and like Megan and I were saying, we're definitely going to go over it a lot more in next week's session with how to apply, would be the statement of qualifications and really ensuring you're beefing up your actual application to the duty statement in itself.
And my understanding about contact letters is it's the system is automatically sending you these
Mhm.
because you've gone on Calcareers, you've taken the exam for specific classifications and you've passed them.
Mhm.
So now Calcareers is kind of like sourcing you things, saying, "Hey, you passed this, apply, apply."
There's a job opportunity
Hmm.
potentially that you could apply for if you're
Yes.
interested in, and it takes you from there. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over the last section where you can find the exams one more
Mhm.
time, and then we're going to open it up for any questions that you guys might have. So as Megan said, this is the first area where you can find it. We'll re-go back over that on how to find the exam section. So you'll come up to the top, you'll click apply now, and then you'll figure out which eligibility you have. So if you already have eligibility, which means you already took the exam and passed it, say you need to obtain eligibility still, you'll click right here and you'll select. The other way to do it is, as we stated earlier, right? You know this is Associate Governmental Program Analyst position. If you're on the main page, you're going to click on exam/assessment search, and you'll type in the word for it. So Associate Governmental Program Analyst, or you can type in like a job code or something like that for it. You'll hit enter, and then it'll take you to basically the same exact two links that Megan was pointing to earlier, which will be uh, the standard exam or the leap examination. So you have two different ones to go about, and then you will just simply click on it, view exam posting, goes over some details about the exam, um, and it goes over the minimum qualifications once more for the position or the classification, and then you can click apply. And that's pretty much the second portion of it. Any other questions before I close this out and then we go live, Megan?
I'm not seeing anything necessarily from a question about the Calcareers site and how to navigate it. So yeah, we can open it up
Cool.
to regular Q&A.
All right. So we will go ahead and open up to regular Q&A. So any other questions that you guys might have, please feel free to go ahead and shoot them over to Megan, and we'll do our best to answer whatever we can for you guys in terms of questions in general, or primarily questions having to do with navigating through the Calcareers website and what we kind of discussed today.
While we wait for some questions to come in, earlier in the session, somebody asked if me and you started as AGPAs.
Yes, yes.
I did not.
So I started. I came from the private sector. Before this, as I said, I graduated with my degree in business administration. I come from a sales background. So I did big box sales, and I did some internet sales management. So that qualified me through the years that I did it. It qualified me directly for the AGPA position or Associate Governmental Program Analyst position. For us in human resources, it's an APA, but it qualified me for that. So I was very fortunate enough to be brought on as an AGPA. What I will say is the position that I applied to, it was very similar to this one that we looked at, where it was either or. You could qualify for a staff services analyst or the associate governmental program analyst. And I had applied then for that. I just so happened to automatically get and meet the minimum qualifications for AGPA. And you said you didn't, right, Meg?
Yeah. So for mine, I was applying for an AGPA position, an associate governmental program analyst. That was also accepting the SSA, staff service analyst. And although I had my education and experience, I would say my experience, I had done a lot of food service industry, which is great experience. And then I had 2 years in the private sector. I don't think that my 2 years in the private sector really gave me that professional analytical experience I needed at the time to meet AGPA. So they started me off at SSA, which was great because after a year of SSA, I was able to promote to AGPA. So it was just that 1 year lag. We do have some great questions coming in. Generally, do you need to rewrite SOQs for different jobs?
Yes, I will say that. So generally, you will need to rewrite your SOQs. As we said, each job might have the same exact classification, so they might all be listed as an associate governmental program analyst, but each job is going to have a different duty statement. It's going to be for a different office potentially, so they'll have a different contact person. So along with it, they will have a different set of SOQs. I know it's a little bit tedious, but it is a part of the way, unfortunately, that the state does work, and it does help filter things out. Trust me, it's worth it. It does take some time to do a lot of the SOQs, but it's worth it getting into a state position.
Okay. And then is there criteria for students to be full-time students or any student certification? So that question itself, that we're not gonna be able to find student assistant positions on Calcareers. The state does offer really great student assistant positions while you are in school. And the minimum requirements for that is maintaining a 2.0 GPA, be in a California university or community college, and then also have 6 semester units at a time.
Yes.
I'm going to include the link to Cal Interns below if you want to look at the student assistant positions. Those will not be able to be found on Calcareers.
And you can be like let's say you're going into your master's program. You just need proof that you're going to be applying, or not you're going to be applying, but you just need proof that you're enrolled within 6 semester units. So let's say you're looking at a certain time where it's an off season or like summer, and you're looking to get into one of those internships or student assistant positions. We just need the proof that you have that 2.0 GPA, your university or the college that you're attending is within the state of California, and that you're enrolled in 6 semester units.
And then not last question. Another question here is
We got time for about 2 to 3 more.
2 to 3 more. Okay. I want to put emphasis on that job posting. There is something called the duty statement that Russell opened, and it talked about the different percentages of the job and what it would look like, and a little more explanation. That document is going to be key in not only understanding what the job looks like, but when you go into the interview process and they're going to be asking you questions about your experience and how it relates to the position you've applied to, that document is going to be the best for studying and being prepared for job related questions.
So this is the duty statement. As you can see, it says the position's duty, the classification, and then it'll break down in the percentages as Megan was talking about. About 45%, they're looking for these tasks, 25% these tasks right on over here, and then 15%, 10%, and so on. So this duty statement will give you the breakdown and a lot of information, vital information, for you to be able to potentially work into your application and your statement of qualifications as well. But it is on that duty statement.
Okay. And then once you've applied, there is an active status and a submitted status on the job itself. Can you go over that a little bit?
So the status is pretty much like, let's say it's active on there. You've basically started it. You started the application. You haven't really done. Maybe there's something that you didn't quite fully submit yet. Versus when you hit submit on there, then it'll say, "Hey, your package has been fully submitted." So if it remains in that active status, there might have been like a checkbox that you didn't select that you thought you selected. But you're gonna want to make sure that when you are going through those applications and submitting everything online, you're gonna want to make sure that the application status on there in your profile does say submitted. So that way you can guarantee, okay, cool, it's in there. Also, if you wanted to, you can honestly reach out to either us or the contact person listed at the bottom of that job ad to just ensure, like, the next day, hey, I just want to clarify my application went through correct, just so that way it's, you have that peace of mind. I know I did that for the first couple of them because I was a little bit nervous about it, but there is an opportunity for you to go ahead and kind of clarify that your application was submitted properly on there. But like I said, you're just going to want to make sure it does say submitted when you've submitted it on there. If it does say active, it's hasn't been submitted yet, but it's been looked at. Cool. We got about 2 more, and then we'll be good to go.
For those who are asking for what you can apply to with your specific degree, I'll reach out to you after the session. We want to keep it on brand
Have them
for.
reach out to the Ask Recruitment inbox.
Yeah.
Yep.
We would just want to keep it on how to navigate Calcareers at this time. We are recruiters. We will help you source some positions.
So yeah, building off of that, if you guys are stuck on kind of looking at what can I qualify for with my degree, you can reach out to our general inbox. Megan and I are part of that inbox. It's askrecruitment@dot.ca.gov. Reach out to us there, and we'll definitely do our best to kind of do a little bit more of a deep dive, one-on-one, hands-in on figuring out what potential jobs you would qualify for to help you along with the process and stuff like that. So we'll go with one more, and then we'll get ready to post it all up.
We're having lots of questions about student assistant requirements again, and then also if you want to briefly talk about international students.
Okay.
And visas. I have put resources in there to contact Ask DHR. They'll be able to give you the best answer at this time. But if you want to briefly go over student assistant positions, qualifications, and international students.
So the student assistant positions, we're gonna go back and piggyback off of what Megan was saying earlier. So with student assistants, there's basically 3 requirements that we have. The first one is going to be that first one's going to be that you're enrolled in a university within the state of California. It could be a community college. It can be a junior college, which is what a community college is for us. It could be a 4-year university. But as long as you're enrolled in one of the California universities, that's perfectly fine. So that's the first step. And the 2 minimum requirements from there are you'll have to have at least a 2.0 GPA, and you'll have to be currently enrolled in 6 semester units. So that will qualify you for the student assistant position in itself. As Megan said, all those student assistant positions are found on calinterns.org. Unfortunately, they're not found on Calcareers. Um, then the other part of it was for international.
International.
Okay. So international students are able to apply for student assistant positions. So if you are an international student and you're looking to get in with Caltrans, you can apply for a student assistant position that is found on calinterns.org as long as you meet the requirements to qualify for a student assistant position. In terms of coming on board with us over here at Caltrans, it is very specific on a case by case basis, depending on what you need. And for that, we do have a team set up for immigration and F1 visas, et cetera. And that is where you're going to want to reach out to askdhr@dot.ca.gov. I know Megan, I believe, dropped that in there a couple of times as well for you guys. So that's going to be a good resource for you to get any clarification with your visas or any international student questions. Cool. Other than that, that's pretty much it, right, Megan? Unless you have like some any 911 things that popped up on there.
Nope. I actually captured everybody's questions. So if we didn't get to your question, I'll be reaching out to you.
Cool. And then just to reiterate, next week we are going to be hosting another one. So pay attention online. We are definitely going to be posting up that link within the next day or two, but we will be doing it next Tuesday. And we're going to be going over a little bit more on how to apply for Calcareers. Other than that, you guys have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.